Hi everybody, in this short video I'm gonna show you how to install R. So the best way, you go to Google, you type in R with one A of course, then you can go to the comprehensive R archive network site, and there you find 3 links, one for installing R for Linux, one for installing R for Mac, and one for installing R for Windows. I don't have a Mac, so I just show you. If you click on R for Mac, you have to carefully select which version of Mac operating system you have on your Mac, and you choose the right file to download for your for the version you have. And then it should be self-explaining how to install it on a Mac. So I go back and I will show you how to download R for Windows. I always click on this install R for the first time option, even if I do updates. So R, there are, I don't know how many updates per year, maybe can't say it. So from time to time I'm gonna check whether there is a new version, and then I will install the new version. So I just save this in my download folder. So, and when it's completed, the download, I can start this exe file. Then I can accept all the default settings. So I always choose English because I think it's easier to have an R version in English, because if you search something, you find more answers on Google in English than in any other language. And if you have a different version, it's always kind of difficult to find things. So I just accept everything. So my folder already exists, so because I already installed it, but I just go through it with yes, 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 yes. So not much can go wrong here. So this is R. We rarely will use R directly. We will later on install RStudio and we work over RStudio, but RStudio needs R to run. So I have done this. So when you installed R, you see the items on your desktop, or you can click on your Windows button, go to the application, all apps. Under R, you see a folder R. There you see 2 icons. I always select the x64 one. You click on your right mouse button, you say pin to start. You do this again. You pin it to the taskbar, and now you see the item on the taskbar and on the start menu. So let me find it. Here it is. So I just move it over here. So this is R. Above you see RStudio, which we don't have installed yet in our exercise, but here is R, and we will rarely open R because we will work over the interface of RStudio, which then will use R. That's why we need to install R before we install RStudio. So now we just open R to see what we have. We have here the console. Now here we can do calculation. I use it from time to time as a calculator. So you can assign values or calculations to objects or to variables. For example, food equals $20 plus $30 plus 13 bucks. Drinks. If I click enter, then it assigns, it executes the command drinks, 60 bucks. Enter, and I can even calculate drinks plus food, enter, so I have this value, or I can again expensive assign this to food and drinks. With the arrows I can navigate through the commands and then change things. Now just a side note, R people, they don't use this equal sign. They use the smaller than and the minus sign to form an arrow, and they do the assignment like this. Why is this? There are some situations where you would like to do it like this, and this is possible. With the equal signs, this wouldn't work. So, but let's close R. It will ask you whether you want to save the workspace image. In principle, you don't want to do this. So now let's go back to Google. We type in RStudio. Then you can go on this rstudio.com site. Now it's a little bit complicated. You go to products, you can select RStudio. You want the RStudio desktop version, not the server version. You want the open source version. And just be sure to take the free version, not the paid version. Then if you click on this, you get the normally it proposes you the correct version for your Windows. For Windows there are less options, so you just take this one. If you again have a Mac, you have to carefully select the correct version. So if you have, for example, 10.13 or newer, you can take this version. However, if you have older versions, you go to the older versions to select the correct version. So I have Windows, I only have Windows, so I choose this version. I save it to the downloads. I wait a moment that the exe file is downloaded. If it's downloaded, I will start it. It will start in a moment. Just be patient. Yes, I will run this. I just can use the standard settings. And just be sure if you install RStudio that you already have installed R. So you should always first install R and then RStudio. So this will take a minute or two. So it's already done. So now we have installed RStudio. We can go to the apps. Under R, we see a RStudio folder. We can click on it. We see two items or one item, doesn't matter which one you take. You can pin to start, right click on your mouse, more, pin to taskbar. And to the start menu, you see the RStudio icon. You can deplace it besides the R icon. So you see R and RStudio. And now we're gonna open RStudio. We double click on the RStudio item. RStudio will open. Now we will do some housekeeping. We go to Tools, go to Global Options, we go to General, and we unclick the Restore R data into Workspace at Startup. We don't want this. And on Save Workspace to R data on Exist, we say Never. Then we go to Code and Saving, and in the default text encoding, we're going to change this to UTF-8. This is for the special characters to be correctly saved and loaded. And we apply. Okay. Now, if it's too small for you, you can go to View and zoom in. You could also go to Tools, again to Global Options, Appearance, and you could change the font size. You could even change the font type. You could set the standard zoom, and you could even change some appearances, the look of RStudio. And for example, I created for me a different look. Or you can select existing looks. So for now I'm gonna stick with the default look, apply, and OK. When you start like this, you see three windows: the console where you can do calculations of any kind. Again, you can assign the values. Be aware, R is case sensitive. It auto corrects me. You see, it proposes you existing objects. So if I don't want this and I enter, it says error object food not found, because what I did, I created it with capitals, so here it will work. So in the upper right window, you see the global environment, you see the objects you created. So I have the object food with a value of 3, 4, 5. I can now create the drinks, and then drinks add up. I can even create vectors, so I can say food, and I can use this concatenate sign and say I have $3, $30, $40, then $2, and then you see this vector food values 1 to 4 with the value 3, 30, 40, and 2. Below you see the files. This is where my working directory is now. We will talk about this in a moment. You see the plots. I didn't do any plots, but I just could now just produce a plot. Then you see the plots. If I do a second plot, let me just create a second object. So, and then I could plot drink food. So, and then with this arrow here I can navigate between the plots. I can zoom a plot. I can export the plot either to a PDF. I can change the size of the plot, the PDF. I can give a name. I can select a directory, and then I can save it. Or I could save it as another format, PNG, JPEG, TIFF, etc. Then I have a list of the packages. Packages are additional commands that I need to load, that I can use them. You have the help. So for example, if you want to know what the command plot is, how it works, you just type in the console question mark and plot, and then you have the help of this file. So now back to the files. One quite difficult thing about RStudio or R in general is that it has a base working directory. So if you type get working directory, get wd, parenthesis open, parenthesis closed, and did you see this? I just open the parenthesis and it automatically makes the closing parenthesis. So you just can leave it like this, enter, and it tells you where the working directory of your RStudio R is. With me it is now somewhere on the Dropbox and in the documents. So of course for each working session we need to tell RStudio where this working session will be. So to do this, you could use the ZWD, and then you would have to type between like this. You would need to type the place you are. This is a little bit tedious. You could also copy paste it, but there are two ways. So you could do it manually. You go to these 3 points here on the files on the lower left windows. Then an Explorer file will open. You navigate to the place you want to work. You say OK, open, and then you see all the files that are now in this folder. Now, if you go to get VD, you will see we are still not here. The working directory, you see the folder here, but it's not set as the working directory. So if you, for example, want to load data, it wouldn't work. If you type dir, you would not see what is in this file window here. So you have to go to more and set this as working directory. And now if I type getWD, parenthesis open closed. You see now I'm at the correct folder. You see also when I did this, R wrote this code, so you could copy this code and use it in a script. I'll tell you in a minute what a script is for further use. So this is very important that you define where the working directory is. If not, you will not be able to open the files you want to open. So the second way that I do this is the following. I work with project. So for each project, I open a project in RStudio. So now you go on the upper right angle, you see this blue icon with the R, and you see project none. If I click on this, I see a list of all my of some of my projects, the latest project I used, and I could just switch between the projects, and then it loads. It goes to the correct folder. If I type now getVD, it shows me where I am. I am exactly here. I have the latest files open. I see the files. And if I just have to switch to another project, I just click on switch, and then I'm in the other project. So this is really, really handy. So to create a new project, you go again. Let's close this. You don't need to close this, but that I am in the same view that you see in the beginning. You will see project none. You click on it. You click on new project. Now you have two possibilities. You can create a new directory or use an existing directory. So let's say I want to create a new directory. You select new, then new project. You choose the folder in which you want to have your project. So I say Lehre, I say open, and now I can give a name. I can say introduction R. I can create the project, and now I have created this project. I see the name here. I see what files I have in it. I have no files. If I open the Windows Explorer and I go to this place, proj file, so I could also go to this folder and open the session by clicking on this. So this is really, really handy. So I do this for every project, then I'm always there. The files are always there. R knows exactly where I am working. So for me, this is the perfect way to work. Now I'm going to show you how to use how you work in R. We rarely never work in the console. In the console, we just type things to try out, to do some quick calculations. But if we work, we always want to work in a script. So I open a new file and I open an R script. So now I have an additional window, which is now untitled. So I just gonna save it. I call it 00. Why do I do the 00? So it's always ordered as I want it to be ordered. So introduction. And now you see in the file windows, you see this file. 0 byte because nothing is in it. So now let's start our first script. If I do hashtag, I can write a commentary. R will not read these, execute these commentaries. So now I could write my first script. And now if I want to execute this line, I have to click on Control and Enter. So I push Control, I keep it pushed, and then I push Enter. There are two ways. I can select the whole line and Enter. I could even, let me just write a second. I could even select more than one line, or I can just put the cursor in the line and then it will jump from one. Let me do this. If I put the cursor anywhere in the line, it will jump. It will execute one line, jump to the next line, jump to the next line if I click Ctrl Enter. So with each click on Ctrl Enter, it will jump and execute from one line to another. That's a very effective way to execute line after line. In the beginning, you will do this to find errors. For example, if I execute this, I will find, oh, in this line there is an error, I did a typo, it doesn't find the object drinks. And if I click on drinks, I see there is no other object like this. So I correct it, I double click on the drinks and then see, yes, now it's correct. So either you select everything, but then it's more difficult to find the error. You have to pay attention if you put the cursor in the line, and sometimes you not on purpose, you select one letter, and if you execute it, it will only execute the D. So this is not what I want. Sometimes I just want to look what is in food, so I only select food. So I don't need to type it out, I just can click on food, and then it gives me the value of the object food. Again, on the upper right, you see the objects I created. Now the next thing, we're gonna just build a data frame with these two variables. So let's call the data frame data. I could call it whatever I want. I can use underscores, I can use points, whatever I want. Be aware, it's case sensitive. So let's call it just data, and data frame and food and drinks. And now I executed this line, and now I have this data frame, one observation with two variables. I can click on this blue circle with the arrow, and then I see the content, or I just can click on the name, and then I see, like similar as an Excel sheet, the data, but I can't modify it. If you want to modify it, what we never would like to do, but you could fix data and then you could modify it. But we never want to do this. We always would leave traces what we change. So if we want to change something, we change it in the script, and we save the script. You see now it's red, it's not saved, so I do Ctrl S to save it. So now if I close RStudio, it will not save what I have here, because we changed this option to not change it. So the philosophy is, we don't want to save the environment, we want to save the script, or if we want to save some data, we will learn how we could now save this data file. So now I think this is it for the first introduction. Yes, maybe we can just learn, we could also clear the environment with this broom. We could also clear the console. I use Ctrl L to clean the console. And maybe another thing, for those who don't like to click Ctrl Enter, you could also go here to run and execute the line with this run button. But you really should learn to just click Ctrl Enter. Another thing, sometimes it happens that your file, let me just make an error. Sometimes you suddenly, did you see the change? All is black. I don't see this run button anymore. If I click on it, Ctrl Enter, it won't execute nothing. That's because I did now an error by saving it, because the ending isn't point.r, it's .1. So I just have to correct this. So I save it again, or better, I close it. I go to the folder and I just change this manually. Yes. Yes. It made a copy. So, and now if I open this here, you see again the colors and you see again the run button, and again you can execute it with Ctrl Enter. Now we will learn how to install additional packages. Let me just open a new R script or create a new R script. I will save this as 01 install packages. Let me just write a comment. So the first package we will install is a bundle of packages from the tidyverse philosophy. This tidyverse philosophy is well known and widely used. Base R code is sometimes a little bit difficult to read. It is sometimes very short but difficult to read. So some people, they developed a tidyverse philosophy, which I kind of like, because the code is sometimes a little bit longer but easier to understand if you come back a month later and try to read your code, or if you try to explain it to other people. So if we install a package, we only need to install the package once. So if you do a major update of R, then you might need to do it again, but we type install packages. You see, if you start to type a command, it immediately proposes you commands that install with insta. So what we use now is install packages, and we need to use quotes around the name. So we write tidyverse and then Ctrl Enter to install it. So a lot of things can go wrong here. And most of the times we need to deal with these errors individually. Normally red is an error, but here red in the console is good. So I didn't get an error, so it's okay with me. Now I installed these packages, and I might want to put the hashtag beside it, because the next time I start R, I don't need to install it again. From time to time I can do an update, but I don't need to install it every time. But if I want to use it, I need to load it. Let me just use one command to illustrate this. So let me say I create again some variables, drink, food, let me write it correctly, some nonsense value, and then let me just create a data. Data frame drink, food, as we did before. Now, for example, I would like to use this tidyverse philosophy to change or to select a variable to create a new data frame. Let me call this data 2. So I can use this, what we call a pipe. I will explain it, and then the command select, and I just want the variable drink. So now if I execute this command, it will say error in data blah blah blah, could not find function, and we call it pipe, because this is in the package or in one of the packages of tidyverse, and I didn't load it. So what I need to do, either I load the individual package if I know which one. So this would be library, but often I don't know which one, so I just type tidyverse. And here I don't need quotes, because it is already known by R, this object, because I installed it. So now I run this, and you see in the console it will give some, it shows you the packages that are loaded. ggplot, this is for doing graphics. Tibble, this is for working with data frames, which are called tibble in the tidyverse philosophy. tidyr, reader, and I don't know how to pronounce this, tplier, whatever. And now the command does work. So what is this pipe? It says take the data and then select the variable drink. So I could have done this in base R, even maybe shorter, but I think this way is very easy to understand, because take the data and then select the drink. So I kind of like this approach. So let's install an additional package. So for saving data, each format of the data needs a different command and different packages sometimes. Even if you want to save Excel, you need additional packages. And since I don't know when, 1-2 years, there is a Swiss Army knife version called Rio, which is really useful. So I will install this install packages Rio. I will do library Rio. And now let us just save this data. Now I can use the command which is export. And now different packages might have the same command. So for some commands I prefer to write the package in front. For example, here I get used to write the package in front, then I put 2 colons and I say now export. So it's just easier to read, and it would even work if I forget to run the line 11. So now I say take the data and save it in this folder in the working directory and save it as data, and I can choose the format. For example, if I would like to do it as a CSV, I can, or an Excel, or an SBS file, or a data file, and I just can save it, and you see the file here. And if I want to import it, so I can delete everything in the environment, and I just say, okay, get the data and put it in data. This time it's Rio import data, zack, and it's here. So this is very handy. A lot of times you will get errors when you install packages. So read carefully the error message, copy and paste it into Google, and look what they propose. For some packages, I think it concerns only Windows people, I'm not sure, you will have the error message that you need to install R tools. This is the case for a lot of packages. So I will shortly show you how to install R tools. So if you go to Google and you Google R tools, you will find this page. So let me just do this. R tools. So you will find this page, and then it is really nice instruction how to do this. But let us just walk through. So most of us will have a Windows 64-bit version. So we take this one, we save it, we wait a second. We install it, we run the exe file, and then we just can go through the standard. So I already installed it, so it won't let me install it again, but doesn't matter. You just click on next and install this. And then if you have done this, it's important that you do one more step. So you have to copy this line here. You have to copy this line and put it into the console of RStudio or R. You execute it. And then you have to close RStudio. You reopen it. And then you have to verify whether it's okay. You can just copy this part, this code, put it into the console, enter, and if it's like this, it's okay. And then you can check it. I will just install as they propose to do a check. Let's just install this package, which I don't use, but doesn't matter. So Control Enter. And if this works, it means that everything is okay. So it looks good, it looks good, it looks good. So the installation of RTools worked for me. So that there are a lot of other errors that can arrive. So we will help you, or Google will help you. We will almost always find the solution. Sometimes it will just take a little bit of time.